A quiet diplomatic message, delivered behind closed doors, late on New Year's Eve. According to sources quoted by the New York Times, Russia has formally demanded that the United States stop its pursuit of an oil tanker now fleeing the U.S. Coast Guard in the Atlantic Ocean. The request was sent to the U.S. State Department and to the White House's Homeland Security Council as the clock ticked toward midnight. At the center of this unfolding standoff, a tanker known as Bella 1. For nearly 2 weeks, U.S. forces have been tracking the vessel as it moved across international waters. The ship began its journey in Iran and was headed toward Venezuela, a country locked in a long-running confrontation with Washington over oil sanctions. U.S. authorities attempted to stop and board the tanker in the Caribbean Sea. They say the vessel was not flying a valid national flag, making it a stateless ship, and therefore subject to boarding under international law. They also say they hold a seizure warrant, but the crew refused. Instead of complying, the Bella 1 turned away, fleeing back toward the open Atlantic. Then came a bold move. In the days that followed, the tanker began claiming Russian protection. Its crew painted a Russian flag directly onto the side of the ship. Over radio, they told the Coast Guard they were now sailing under Russian authority. Soon after, the vessel appeared in Russia's official ship registry under a new name, the Marinera, with a listed home port of Sochi on the Black Sea. Now, Moscow has stepped in. Russia's diplomatic demand that the United States halt its pursuit threatens to complicate an already volatile situation and injects new tension into U.S.-Russia relations, particularly over Venezuela. All of this comes as U.S. President Donald Trump is trying and struggling to negotiate a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. The president has repeatedly voiced frustration over his inability to bring the war to an end. This tanker dispute could add a dangerous new wrinkle. While international law experts, quoted by the New York Times, say securing Russian protection may be a long shot for the vessel, Russia's intervention raises the stakes, potentially forcing Washington to choose between enforcing sanctions and escalating a diplomatic confrontation. Trump has instituted a quasi-blockade on some tankers transporting oil from Venezuela as he seeks to pressure the government of President Nicolás Maduro. The export of oil, mainly to China, has kept Venezuela's economy afloat. So far, the United States has boarded and taken possession of 2 other tankers in the Caribbean. U.S. officials have said they plan to seize more ships. Maduro has ordered the Venezuelan Navy to accompany some tankers leaving his country and has considered putting troops on board, potentially heightening the chances of an armed confrontation with U.S. forces on the high seas. Last week, in a call between Venezuela and Russia's foreign ministers, Russia reaffirmed its all-out support and solidarity with the leaders and people of Venezuela, according to a summary of the call from Russia's foreign ministry.
Russian steps in to protect Venezuela's ships as U.S. chases oil tanker in the Atlantic. Russian flag painted to evade the American hunt amid oil war. Mysterious tanker on the run, mega American hunt underway. An oil tanker in the Atlantic Ocean is on the run. The aging and rusted ship, sanctioned by the U.S., has been resisting seizure ever since it attempted to enter Venezuelan waters on December 21st to pick up oil. U.S. forces moved to intercept, but the vessel refused to submit to American seizure orders. Now, the tanker suddenly made a U-turn towards the Atlantic. CNN, citing a U.S. official, reports that the crew aboard the ship has painted an image of a Russian flag on the ship's hull. American officials said it was to evade seizure by U.S. forces. The U.S. Coast Guard spotted the insignia on the aging and rusted oil ship. the U.S. Coast Guard has been trailing the tanker from about a half-mile behind as it sails in the open Atlantic Ocean away from Venezuela. The ship made a U-turn in the Caribbean Sea after the U.S. Coast Guard attempted to interdict it on its way into Venezuela to pick up oil. It has been fleeing ever since. U.S. officials said Bella 1 was flying under the flag of Guyana. Its current registration is listed as not known on the shipping database Equisys. And by claiming Russian status, the legalities of seizing the vessel could become more complicated. U.S. forces are now waiting for a seizure order from the White House, as it requires a maritime special response team with experience in boarding vessels that do not submit to seize control of them. This is not the first seizure or an attempt. Earlier, U.S. forces seized 2 oil tankers off Venezuela. On December 10th, another tanker, Skipper, sanctioned by the U.S., was seized off Venezuela's coast. On December 20th, U.S. forces hijacked a second oil tanker near Venezuela. Both are accused of fueling Maduro's economy. The pursuit stems from U.S. President Donald Trump's order of a blockade on sanctioned Venezuelan oil tankers. The Trump team believes that squeezing Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro's main economic lifeline is the best path to potentially ousting the authoritarian leader. On Wednesday, the U.S. Treasury Department sanctioned 4 more oil companies and designated 4 oil tankers as blocked property. The tankers, 2 flying Hong Kong flags and 2 flying Guinea and Panama flags, were financing the Maduro regime. Caracas is now firing back. Venezuela's Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino Lopez accused the U.S. of imperial threats.
We stood our ground against them with unwavering determination. We have not succumbed to the temptations of imperialism.
His acts of provocation, we haven't fallen for any of it.
Doing what we have to do, preparing ourselves every day. I'm very pleased with the cohesion of the Bolivarian National Armed Forces. We are doing things we never did before, Duran. The scientific and technological point of view, and perhaps you may not see this, but there is a large team of scientists improving our high-tech equipment for aerial, terrestrial, and air defense. There are already 400 aircraft, 430 aircraft since the year 1000, since 2012, when the law for the comprehensive defense of Venezuelan airspace was implemented, enacted, and sanctioned. We have left 430 aircraft at that location.
In a further push to corner Maduro, the U.S. has intensified its buildup. It has deployed more fighter jets, drones, and military ground vehicles in Puerto Rico. U.S. Southern Command said around 15,000 personnel are operating in the area. Other than 15,000 personnel, a squadron of advanced U.S. Marine Corps F-35B Lightning jets has also been deployed.